Right, it's in progress. Yeah.
Okay, it's Eric Deloach, your residential book author, and we have probably one of our favorite, if not our most favorite guest of all times on this program. And this is another edition of American Authors and Others. And at this time, for those that don't know, but many know and love in big numbers, we'll allow him to introduce.
We can put the camera on.
Can you hear me? Can you hear
Right.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. We want you to introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Well, put the camera down now, Jesse, so we can get.
Give us a second here. Give us a second, viewing public. He's getting everything in order.
All
Right.
right.
But this is
Hi.
and so this is Mr. Clive Howard, but let me let you do the honors and introduce yourself. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi, I'm Mr. Claude the policeman. Oh, you're nicked. You're nicked, Eric. All of you is nicked. Right, my name's Clive Howard Kelly, El Capitano, and I am an indigenista and an ecologista. Yeah, they're all new words, you know.
Right.
They weren't cool. Anyway, this is my truncheon to whack them on the head.
Oh my God. Yeah. So audience, I can just tell you one thing: you better be good girls and boys today.
Yeah. Right.
No misbehaving. Be good boys and girls today. Yeah.
Yeah. The policeman will be going away in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
And then, and then one of the children of Gandhi will be appearing.
Okay.
Because Gilberto Jill, take Becky away, please. No. What? Gilberto Jill is a singer, a very famous singer.
Right.
For since I was 17.
Right.
I met him in London when he was on the run from Brazil because he was singing songs of peace and love in Brazil. And because of that, they called him a revolutionary. Him and his partner, Caetano Veloso. So the two of them escaped the jail and came to London to be a hippie with me and my crowd, you know, because I used to get the hippies to go to the rock and roll festivals and sell peace signs and nail jewelry and other things that I'd made, you know? Right. And so Jill, he is very famous. He's dark skinned. Right. He's one of the oldest singers now. He's traditional worldwide. Okay. Everybody loves. He's a leader of a cult. Okay. Love. But in Brazil, they didn't like that because at the time he was copying the Beatles and everything. Okay. After he went back, they took him to prison again. So he escaped again. Right. And he came to visit me on the trimaran. And we had a windsurfing competition in Natal. And that would be around about 1977. Okay. You remember Jill, if you're watching? And then Gilberto Gil actually became the minister of the environment of Brazil. He became a very important person. Wow. He still is. He always has been. Right. His band was called the Barco do Sol, and they used to play in my clubs in Brazil. And the Barco do Sol means the boat of the sun people. Okay. Now, he is one of the sun people. And as I say, he's a worldwide cult leader. Wow. And and he represents in Brazil the children of Gandhi. You know, the Indian philosopher Gandhi. Okay. That was shot, like Martin Luther King was shot. Gandhi was also shot, as well as John. Yeah. Right. And so Gandhi was shot for his a peace movement, and he came to England and he was only wearing a sari, and no shoes. And he went to speak with Winston Churchill, and he visited the Queen. And because he came in his natural state, just wearing a white sari with nothing underneath, he stood out as being something that the English are very violent.
Okay.
Because they're on an island, and they've always had to fight the Vikings and the attackers from all around the island, from all directions. French, the German, the Vikings, the Swedes, the Celts, the Scotch. Even built a wall between Scotland and England called the Wall of Adrian, and it's still there.
Wow.
To keep the Scotch out of England. The wall must be hundreds of miles long, but it's still there. It's a wall of stone.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so Rock, here we have again the legendary Clive Howard again for you, Rock. I just wanted to say that. So tell us, this is an interesting episode. Tell us about when did you start filming? When did you start getting to being a film director, film content creator, being a filmmaker? When did that all start?
Well, I started being an actor in the theatre.
Okay. I
went to visit RADA, which is called the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in England.
Okay.
Where also Ian Epstein, the second Beatles manager, also went. So that's how we became friends.
Right.
Because we were both dramatic artists.
Wow.
Hence the costumes, by the way.
Right.
So when I take this guise of being a police, but I want to tell you the story of why I've got this clothes on, first of all, before I take it off and become a children of Gandhi. I am now a Mr. Plod, the policeman.
Right.
But I'm a Victorian policeman, and this is a Victorian policeman's helmet, and this is a very heavy, real, genuine Victorian cloak.
Right.
There is a law in England, which I may as well tell you because it's just coming to my mind. There's a law, a statute law, a real English law that states if you need to pass water, you can do it against the wheel of a hackney cab, or you can find the nearest Mr. Plod, Mr. Policeman, and ask him to wrap his cloak around you like this whilst you urinate.
Wow.
And that law, that's still in force. It's not been cancelled. So if you ever come to England and you want to pee, just ask a Bob to cover you with his cloak. And this is this cloak, this original cloak for covering people to have a pee.
Okay, interesting. Man, we're getting so much history right here. We're really learning. This is very fascinating. Yes.
I hope so, because I am the Messiah, and the Messiah means the message carrier.
Okay. Yeah, well, carrying quite the message. So tell us about being in the school and about being an actor. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me just finish. Well, I played. The last part I played was Captain Percy in a screenplay. A theatre play. I was Captain Percy. It was by Agatha Christie. She's a playwright. Agatha Christie. And I played. Anyway, I did play that actually on the stage of Stafford Penitentiary. Captain Percy, and there was two women in that play with me. And one was the governor's daughter of 19, and his wife, who was a ex-vaudeville dancer at the West End Theatre in London, where I live.
Okay.
I knew both his daughter and his wife. And Robin, that was the name of the governor of the prison, was a lord, and he wanted to do very good. And he believed in, something or other when you turn a criminal back to being a good boy. He believed in.
Rehabilitation? Rehabilitation.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you, Eric. Thank you. Yes, rehabilitation. He believed in rehabilitation.
Right.
So he allowed me, at the suggestion of his wife and his daughter, to run a music club once a week in the church. I was allowed to play records of my choice for 2 hours.
In the church?
And yeah, in the church. I was allowed to have the church to myself.
Okay.
Not the prisoner that wanted to be part of the music club.
Okay.
And I was allowed to receive records from artists around the world. And his wife also wanted me to start with her the Amateur and Dramatic Arts Theatre Club in Stafford Penitentiary, Stafford Prison.
Wow.
Which I did. And we played, the first play we did was Agatha Christie's, and I was Captain Percy.
Wow.
And yeah, and during the play, well, a lot goes on. I really shouldn't tell you, but it doesn't matter now. I actually had kisses under the table in the play. Well, nobody saw me, not even the screws. And we had a little go at it under the table, me and his daughter.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, meanwhile, his wife, she knew what we're up to.
Right.
Because his daughter was one of these Beatles fans that would do anything at all, anything whatsoever, to get with anybody involved with the Beatles.
Wow, a groupie.
Exactly, a plaster caster group. Yeah, a plastic cast. Now you know what that means, don't you?
Tell me about that. Tell me about that. Tell
us
about that.
There's an organization called the Plaster Casters.
Right.
It was set up in the 60s and it's very big. You can look it up on YouTube.
Right.
You look it up and you see the photographs. You see there's 2 girls that used to visit my club every week.
Right.
Used to come with plaster.
Okay.
And, they would make a mold, plaster cast first, of certain things, and then they would make a statue of that plaster cast and get the artist to sign it. And then they had a museum called the Plaster Caster Museum. And now, things that they cast the plasters of were the erect penises of rock and roll singers.
Oh my goodness. It's amazing. Okay.
That was allowed legally in England then in the 60s. And of course, to get the hard on, they had to give a little suck and get it hard and then plaster cast it.
Oh,
they did Jimi Hendrix. They did one of the Beatles. Not the Beatles, no, sorry. One of the Stones. They did a lot of artists. Just take a look.
Wow.
On Google, the Plaster Casters.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you see photographs and signed members on shelves in the museum of the penises.
Okay. Okay. So she was in this play. What role did she play? What was her as an actress? What did she play?
Now you're going back. I don't remember their roles exactly, but they were in the play. They were one of the 2 sisters in the play, you see.
Right.
The dinner table is set, and Captain Percy comes in, and he drops something on the floor and goes out of camera because he goes under the table where Laurie is waiting for me. Right. And then his wife takes over in the play. Yeah, well, that's it. That's the play we did. I don't remember the total script. Right. I am allowed to forget certain things because I am 81. Right. Right. I've got a truncheon.
Right.
See? Yeah,
it seemed like you really enjoyed this.
That's banged many people on the head. Yeah.
So it sounded like you really enjoyed it. You really enjoyed it.
Well, I enjoyed prison more than any other time in my life.
Yeah, but I'm saying this play, you really relished it. You really enjoyed it.
It gave me freedom to express my dramatic, artistic way of being, and my training at the academy. And also it gave me the chance to get my voice across to the prisoners, because in the prison, I also sold Mellow Yellow, that's right. you remember Donovan?
Yeah.
And I was working I was 2 jobs I had. One, I was a prison electrician.
Okay.
And I used to cut people down when they hung themselves from the light in the middle of the cell.
So people were doing it on a regular basis?
They did it all. Yes, it was a regular thing. The nonces, the paedophiliacs, because they go in prison for maybe 5-10 years.
Right.
They live all that time on their own, in their own cell, in isolation, because the other prisoners will beat them up.
Right.
And then they go through torture. The food is got too much pepper, too much salt, sabotaged by the other prisoners.
Right.
So they spend that time in prison suffering. And even the governor and the screws being the wardens, they let it happen. Well, I saw them one day.
Right.
Call one of the nonce out who was due to leave the next week.
Right.
And I went around with them to check the electricity switch in his cell.
Right.
And when they opened the door with the key, they brought with them a big pan of hot chocolate. So everybody gets a cup of hot chocolate before they go to sleep. Mm-hmm. That's because Robin was looking after his prisoners. Imagine a governor giving you a beaker of hot chocolate before you go to sleep in prison. Well, he did. And when this nonce came to get his hot chocolate, they threw the whole boiling pan onto him.
Oh, my.
Yes, oh, my. They do punish the people in prison.
Wow.
You see, all the prisoners tend to think that if somebody's in for screwing young girls or young boys, or they call nonces, nonce.
Right.
Nonce. And a nonce means not allowed on normal exercise. Normal exercise, nonce.
It makes sense.
So torture them and then sometimes kill them if they can.
Right.
But prisoner, when he was burned and he was due to leave in 3 days, he couldn't face the fact of going out and suffering even more because he knew there were people waiting at the gate to get these nonces when they're released.
Right.
He hung himself in the middle of his cell from light, and the light was conduit, the black steel metal that the cable of the light goes through. He hung himself.
Right.
So I was the prison electrician. Mm-hmm. So I was to go into that cell with the screws and cut him down.
Okay.
So they the 2 screws hold him and lower him down, and he's dead, of course.
Right.
And my job is to take care that nobody's electrocuted.
Right.
So when the 2 screws took the prisoner away, I was very sorry. Really, I was left alone in the cell.
Did you ever come across one a guy that?
Let me finish this. I was left alone with the spirit of a very suffering man, and his fingernails, look there, he tried to claw himself back up the wall. Anybody wants to survive. They don't just put their hands down by the side when they're dying. Right. They try and stop themselves from dying.
Right.
Fingernails came off and stuck into the cement in the wall.
Wow.
And I had to pull those out,
Wow.
Right. Now, okay.
So the question is, did you guys ever walk in on somebody who was 2 questions. That somebody who was still alive at the last, almost about to die. Did you ever let me ask you that question. Did you ever walk in and the guy was still alive, almost about to die? Did you ever have that happen?
Yes.
What happened in that case?
Well, I was sitting at the dinner table.
Mm-hmm.
And we all sit at the dinner table.
Yeah.
The guy in front of me was a nonce, but he was not a serious nonce. He'd been sent to prison. Do you know why? Because he had photographs of a naked man in his pocket. His name was Ronnie, and he was my friend, and he was a theatrical lighter. He went to the theaters to rig up the lighting for shooting films and things like that. A really nice guy.
Right.
And he was sitting in front of me, and he was due to leave prison the next week. And he was sitting there, and we're eating custard and roly-poly.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And suddenly he went, ah.
Yeah.
He'd been stabbed in the back
Wow.
by one of the cons that were just passing. He stuck a knife right in.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Did he live?
Well,
did he live?
He
didn't live.
Oh no, he didn't live.
Right.
He fell onto the floor, and I tried to pull the knife out. The screw gave me a hit with one of these.
Wow.
Not really hard, but on the shoulder.
Right.
Boom, to stop me pulling the knife out, because they wanted the knife with the fingerprints on of the guy that stabbed him, you see.
Right.
To know who it was.
Wow. Man, you have some stories. Now, did you ever have, this is the last question on that, and then we got to get back to the acting, which is exciting as well. Did you ever walk in on somebody who was still alive and able to save them?
No, not that. No.
Okay. Interesting stories. Okay, and what a life. So you said that was one play that you did. How many plays you think that you were acting in? You had a chance to act in?
Oh, then I started my own group, which was called Mud.
Okay.
Mud.
Okay.
And it was called a satirical group.
Okay.
Of 4 people.
Okay.
And I used to put on plays on the stages, and I played the part at one play. Wait, it's rather silly this, but you wouldn't understand it very well. But some of the people who remember the scaffold with the Liverpool group, which Mike McGear, who was Paul McCartney's brother, was in. And they used to play regularly for me. So I started my own group called Mud.
Okay.
And the last one I did, which was sort of very underground, I was the hand, right? Okay. So my body was like a hand, like this.
Right.
Coming up the shoulders. Yeah. And the other guy played the penis.
Oh my goodness. You guys are, it was underground. It was underground.
Guess what it was about? Something
I got the picture. I think I got the picture of that. Now, did you write some of these? You came up with some of these ideas?
I wrote them. They were all my ideas. Yes.
Well, tell me something tell me about a play that you wrote and participated in that had nothing to do with sex. Tell me about one, just a regular play. About a murder or something like that.
I can't really remember that. See, I don't retain everything. I've done so much in life. Right. I only retain in my memory what I find to be interesting, and to talk about in the future. Right. And so I'd like to tell you now, whilst I'm wearing this uniform, because it's getting a little bit hot at the moment. Right. And I want to go and show you some other, but first I've got to tell you the story of when I was younger. I told you I got beaten up when I was a child. I got put into hospital when I was only 7. Right. And then again when I was 9. Right. And I told you I ran away from the school when I was 9 to live in the forest with a horse that I'd taken off the rag and bone man because he whipped it too much. Right. And that's when I started to become an ecologist. Okay. But what I want to tell you is this, that because I'm a Kelly, I was barred from the hotels because they did not allow black people. They used to say, no blacks, no Irish. Wow. So everywhere I went, because I'm a Kelly, which is a very Irish name, right, I was bullied, and they tried to beat me up. And, well, they did when I was a child. They put me in hospital 3 times. Okay. So the Irish had their home, just like the Africans, stolen from them, and they were taken out of Ireland,
Right.
and they were put into concentration camps, just like Hitler put the travelers and the gypsies, which were Irish tinkers anyway, that had escaped the military and the police. That's the reason I'm wearing this uniform, because this uniform is the uniform of the police of Ireland that used to catch the Irish and take them as slaves, and even the women, and they would auction them on a big stage, which I got photographs of in England.
Okay.
So the Irish, yes, the Irish were slaves. Hitler, he gassed the Jews, the gypsies, and the homosexuals, didn't he?
Right. Right.
Meanwhile, in England, Winston Churchill's lot, they beat up the Irish. They threw them out of their homes. They threw them out without no food and no clothes. They burnt the houses down, and the Irish died in the thousands.
Wow.
And those that could escape across to the other side, which is only a few miles across to England, they did that. My father was one of them.
Right.
My brother, they took my brother, my father's brother, and he didn't escape. So they took him and they made him into a slave, and they sent him to the front line in Normandy, where they knew he would get killed. And he was shot down. He was shot down, and I got the medals. They did send me medals.
Right.
But the rest of the Irish, they captured them. Those that were still alive, remember, they raped all the Irish women, broke into the houses, pushed the houses down after they raped the women, killed the men, and those that could fight or escape, they would catch them later and send them to Wales in England, Wales, where they had work camps.
Okay.
Right. Well, this was when I was born. This is what was going on.
Well, let me ask you this. When
I went to school, they just thought I was an Irishman. They got to beat me up or kill me.
Right.
They thought they could be the same as the Germans.
Wow. Wow. Let me ask you this. When did you guys finally, when did it change in England to where if you were Irish, even if you were Irish, you got better treatment and more rights?
You never did get that in England. You still don't get that in England. You know, I was the first one to be allowed. By the way, I'll just tell you, all the African descending people closed down a quarter of London and stopped all the white people going into it. And it was called Ladbroke Grove. And when I drove there in my van when I was only 17, I would be 18. No, I'd be 70, the end of 70. When I drove there, I talked to black men. They could put up ropes and tires on fire across the street and ropes and everything. Right. And I drove up and I said, "Hey, man, I'm a Kelly. I can't stay in the hotels either." He said, "Oh, you're a Kelly, you're an Irishman." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you can come in." So they let me go in. I was the only one that had the goal in those days to go into that area and play music with them. And that's how I got to know about the Caribbean music, really. Right. You know, at 17, by playing with them and putting up the television aerials. Remember, I was an aerial rigger. Okay. That was my job, to drive around putting up antennas. Right. So the Irish story I've told you. I can now take this.
Now tell me, did you ever run into Bob Marley?
I did do, yes, but I really only met him in the Argentina. I met him in London when he was going to the recording studio with a guy called, they were all of them, all the Wailers were there to the recording studio, because I lived in the West End, in a place called Tin Pan Alley. Okay. Where all the groups were going to buy the musical instruments.
Wasn't that in a Tin Pan Alley? Wasn't that in a couple movies?
Yeah, probably they've made movies about it. Probably
I heard of that before. I heard that Tin Pan Alley. I heard about that. I heard from.
All right, now just a minute.
Take your time.
Oh, right. Oof. That was hot.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
How's that? Let me see.
Okay. Okay. So you started out as from the movie scene. You started acting in Emily Stone's movies, right? Yeah. You started acting in Emily Stone's movies.
In what? Sorry.
I said you started acting in Emily Stone movies.
Emily Stone. I don't know what that is.
No. Who's the person you said, the lady or whoever the person that created the one movie, the one play that you were in with the mother and the daughter?
Oh, Agatha Christie.
Okay, you started acting in her movies, right?
Yeah, I want to show you this before I forget.
Okay.
Can you see that?
I can see it a little bit. Yeah, it looks nice, I think, from what I can see.
Right, I'll bring it back a bit.
Right. I can
Can you
see
see
it
it now?
I can kind of see it, yes. It's interesting.
It is interesting because they are doing this now. This is a very interesting, very beautiful. If I put the mirror behind it, maybe you can see it better.
Right.
Maybe, can you see that better?
I think I can see that. Yeah, I think I can see that. I can see that, yeah.
Well, yeah, well, that's what they call a dung beetle.
Okay.
And this boy, well, he's a man now. His name is Dominic Higgins.
Okay.
And he is going to Thailand and Indonesia and Australia. And he's getting all the indigenous people to collect insects.
Right.
Like this.
Right.
Look, it's very beautiful. And spiders and other interesting things.
Right.
And he's encapsulating them into plastic to make key rings like this.
That's interesting. Yeah, it is. That's not, it looks pretty nice.
But he's making a lot of money.
I bet.
But the thing is that the trees need these beetles alive because it's these beetles that push the dung and the bad leaves into the tree roots and make holes and feed the trees. And the trees send out the vapor that makes the clouds and the oxygen and the rain that we need to survive on planet Earth.
Wow. You are quite the environmentalist.
Yeah, I am. So Dominic Higgins, can you remember that name?
Yeah, Dominic Higgins. Okay.
And he works every day selling these things around the car boot sales and at Dragon's Den shop in Blackpool.
Okay.
And he's making a fortune by depleting the world of oxygen. But when you kill those things, you kill the oxygen makers because they feed the trees that make the oxygen.
Right.
Now, oh, I should have let you look through my little. I'll leave that there.
Yeah. So
now I've taken this off. I want to show you these.
Okay.
First of all, you know about that, don't you?
Yeah, I know about that. Yeah.
These have been sent to me. I've got many more.
Right.
And when I wear these, I normally wear a long white shirt and a white turban.
Right.
But the turban's outside in the car and I couldn't go out and get it because it's bloody raining. You know, it's freezing cold out there, by the way, tonight.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I wore the collars, the necklaces.
Right.
And they represent Gilberto Gil and the children of Gandhi from Bahia, Brazil.
Okay.
And I say to the camera, please, Jill, I wish you the best of luck. And I heard your last song just last week. And thank you very much for continuing to bring happiness and love and peace to us all. And I, for one, am wearing the necklaces that you've sent to me. And I have them here.
That's real nice too.
Yeah.
I like that. That's real nice too. So tell me
Yeah,
about, tell me
go on.
about when you made okay, you started in, was the elephant, well, I mean the ladies movies, okay. What's her name? Christopher?
Agatha Christie.
Agatha.
Agatha.
Agatha Christian. Okay. Okay, you started there. And then all of a sudden you went out and you started creating your own productions, movie productions, theatrical production. And
Every
what was
week.
the next? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, every week we did it at my clubs, yeah. And sometimes out of pubs or clubs or, you know.
Would you get an audience to come?
Oh yeah, you always get an audience. Listen, if you want to see and know more about my type of what I was doing,
right,
you can look up on Google, look up Scaffold, SCAFFOLD.
Okay. Okay, Scaffold.
And you will see the type of sketches that we used to do.
Okay. Okay.
Now, what I'm doing is I'm just getting my other iPad to remember some of the things that I found.
Okay. Okay. Now, so
I would like to talk about Long Key, which was owned by President Nixon. I'd like to talk about that and the cocaine smuggling and the fact I had to shoot at a great big cargo boat with my gun, which was a 303, with dum-dum bullets, because they were coming at me at full speed to wreck me. And I looked up like that. Look, I'm looking up there. And that's what it was when I shot. Boom! I had to shoot his wheelhouse.
Right.
And at the same time as I did that, I threw the trimaran round because I was sailing with sails. And I was probably doing 5 miles an hour and he was probably doing 27 miles an hour. So I had to shoot at him to blind him so he couldn't try and turn as well, you know?
Oh, right.
And I shot out the windows of a cargo boat, big one.
Right.
Don't know 1,000 tons. But that's because when I took the passengers sailing to this island called Painted Sea, Tintamare, they were the friends of Jeffrey Epstein, as you know, is in this trouble with Prince Andrew.
Right.
Jeffrey owned the island called St. James, where I was the charter.
He owned the island? He owned the island?
Yeah, he still does. It's full of it's got sexual palaces, incredible, you know, he spent billions on building buildings for sex.
Wow, this guy was out there. He really was.
His own DC-10 jet. He flew out girls from New York and London regularly. So and he supplied all the top people like like Trump. Trump was one of the people.
That's okay. Okay.
Photographs of Trump there.
Okay, yeah, they have a picture. Yeah, they do. Yeah, but that they had a picture. Yeah, they had a picture. Yeah, he knew they knew each other, right? So let me ask you this. Let's get back to you being you had a picture of him, but okay. So tell me, when did you start becoming this movie director?
Oh, right. Okay. I'll tell you that. 1972.
Okay. Tell us about that.
I'm just trying to think if I directed anything before that. I'm just trying to think. I made a film about Little Richard and Bo Diddley, you know those people?
Right.
When they came to play for me. Tina Turner, I made a film about her.
Where can we see these films? I want to see these films. Where can I find these films?
You can find them upstairs in a red case, in tins. They've not even come out of the tins to be made into video films. They're on film. They're on film 16mm vinyl, or whatever they call it.
Are you going to release them?
Well, I've not got the energy to go and open the cases. I tried to open a case today, that's got this size and it's full, that big.
Do
Photograph
you
to you
yeah.
on camera here.
Yeah.
But I got so dizzy because the cases are so heavy that I just left them up there in the bathroom on the bath.
Do you know they're worth?
I cannot do everything myself.
Right,
I cannot make film. I've got a case upstairs. It's a full-size case, and it's full of negatives and film that's never been developed. And I don't even know. I probably got Prince Andrew and Queen Margaret and all those people, because, I mean, Princess Margaret was always on the beach with us, you know?
Right.
I mean, she was always used to hang out with Mark, one of my mates who was a cocaine pusher. You know, that's no secret. Everybody knows it.
Right.
Just that it's quieting down, you know.
Right.
The royalty, they're just hippies as well.
Well, I mean,
you know,
I can understand that.
Lady Diana, when she was 14, I rescued her when she was on the floor in the roundhouse having a bad trip. So I took her out to Box Hill in my Volkswagen van and looked after her to get her better again. Somebody had sold her some bad acid, you know, LSD.
Right.
But you see, I'm trying to explain to you, it's a scene where London, where royalty and the young people of royalty and the lords and the ladies and we all mixed together.
Right.
No class in a hippie.
Right.
I mean, you're dope with the Sandro or whoever else you're there with.
Right.
Because they were all there in the middle of a field, in the middle of a forest for a week with nobody else except the dope, the LSD, and whatever else that people used to give them. There was not much alcohol.
Right.
Just drugs. Well, you know, herbs and spices.
Right. Yeah. What? Here we go. Here we go. Right here. I'm just going to say to you, I'm inspired by you in terms of film. I'm starting to do a little bit myself. So let me ask you this. So that footage, when we're talking about some of the Tina Turner, Bo Diddley, Little Richard, that is worth.
I've got films of all the groups, all of them, in what years? In the 70s and some of the 60s.
What about the 80s. What about the Rolling Stones? You got them?
Yeah, got footage.
Do you know that is worth millions? That's worth millions.
Well, you better send somebody to help me get out of the case.
Yeah. You got to watch your back now. Somebody may be trying to, you got to be, people know this. But I'm just saying that is, yeah, everybody would love to see that. If
you go to one of my clips on YouTube, or it's on my, I think it may be on YouTube or on my website.
Right.
www.cktbmm.com.
Right.
You will see footage of me talking while the Rolling Stones are playing behind me. You know,
wow.
You can see that. You can see that on Google or my website.
How old were you? How old were you during this time?
Look, Mick Jagger was in my club to play in 1964.
Wow, before I was born.
And we were smoking a doobie with him and Bride Jones and drinking a bottle of whiskey. That was 1964.
Wow.
But in 1963, I was on tour with Mick Jagger.
Okay.
David, John and the Mood. I used to manage the second group for Mick Jagger called David, John and the Mood. And I also managed the minstrel singer of England called Davy Morgan. And I recorded a record for him with Joe Meek. Joe Meek, you can look this up on Google. Look up Joe Meek.
Right.
Then look up Davy Morgan.
Right.
And then you can hear his music on my film on my website.
Right.
I've seen everything. I've seen a baby newborn. I've seen a field yellow with cotton. I've got much more to see. You know, I said, well, that, you know, I recorded that with Joe Meek. So when the Rolling Stones, 1964, 1963, you know, we were doing the rock and roll festivals together. And then they would come to London, and they lived in Chelsea. And just round the corner from where they lived, they had to pass every day to buy bread. and wine and milk and whatever, because I sat on the floor, well, on a seat, a little fold-up seat, selling my peace signs and my horseshoe nail jewelry, my belts, my bags, and my posters, just around the corner. So every day, maybe twice a day, Mick Jagger would pass, or Charlie Watts, or Wyan, Bill Wyan, you know. And I also used to go to the Greasy Spoon, it's called Sticky Fingers Cafe in London.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Wyman owns it, and he rented the shop to open Sticky Fingers from my very good friend that owned that shop before. It was an enormous baggage shop for cases and you know, handbags that cost thousands, you know, a top-notch shop for the best traveling gear. And because of me, Bill Wyman rented that shop and made it into Sticky Fingers. And I'd go there and have a hamburger every day, meet Bill. So, you know, I was in the same, you know, group. I'm a neighbors.
Right.
You know, Diane, Princess Diane, when she was 15, 16, 17, we used to go in the same pub just around the corner. We lived about 4 blocks away from each other. And every day she would pass me. Some days she'd stop and have a little chat with me. Some days she'd be in a hurry. Some days she'd bring Freddie Mercury round, because Freddie Mercury and I were also partners in selling dresses, ladies' dresses and jewellery in front of the hippie market in London, where Princess Diane bought all her clothes.
Wow. Wow.
So you can see it's a clothes thing. To you in America, oh, Mick Jagger, fantastic. But to me, he's the guy up the road, you know. He's only the guy up the road.
Right. Wow. So you have film footage of all of these greats.
Yeah.
You got to get that out, as well as we know about your book is coming, but you have to get that.
Listen, Eric, I've got to do a lot of things, and just to do these interviews, it takes a lot of energy, and I've got to find a lot of things. I mean, today I wanted to show you these big photographs. I've got hundreds of them, all big like this, all been plastified, you know, put into plastic cases.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the cases, special cases upstairs.
Right.
But there's so much stuff in this house. We cannot even go into the kitchen pantry. And it's full of things. Right. Because I've got so much stuff and little space to keep it. Right. And I haven't got good health to go. And you know, when I was sorting through the papers today, I was trying to find your photographs and papers. Right. I ended up panting. I nearly had a heart attack. I was trying to get the stuff to show to you. Right. But managed to get the cape, the policeman's cape, and the policeman's helmet. And managed to get these necklaces, and then managed to get this fantastic cowboy shirt. You know,
I like that shirt. I like that shirt.
Yeah, look, it's really nice. Well, look at that. Look at the button.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I get some things. So I don't have an assistant.
Right. So
now I want to tell you, some friends of mine came to film me, to make a film for Brazil. Right. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Right. And during the film, which you can also see on my Twitter account, I have not put it on YouTube yet. Yeah. On my Twitter. And they came, and, you know, I sit in here in the chair, and the guys stand there saying, wow, you know, I've waited all my life to meet you. You're really famous in Brazil, and you're one of the last people who helped the Indians, really, you know. And he stood like this, you know, so with respect.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, stood over there. And I took photographs, and my wife filmed it. So he asked me to tell him, what I knew about Chief Raoni, who is my vice president of the museum, Ethno Echo. he's a signed partner, right? He's the vice president of my organization, right? The vice.
Right. Yeah.
So I made a film, 3 films with him, and he asked me what I think of Chief Rowney. I said it, well, because Chief Rowney is very famous with the singer Sting.
Okay.
They go the world together, they do world trips together. Sting puts him up in one of his major mansions,
right.
And gives. So I said, quite honestly, and I made him afraid because he's not been in touch with me since, except he sent me an email to say, I enjoyed meeting you. That's what he said. No more.
Right.
Didn't tell me when the film was coming out, nothing. I enjoyed meeting you. So now I'm going to state this here. When he came, I was tired, and I said to him, I'm ready to give an interview with you.
Right.
And so he asked me, and he said, what do you think about Chief Rowney? And of course, I immediately replied with the truth. I said, Chief Rowney is not civilized. If you give him 2 chickens and Coca-Cola, he will do anything you want. Just like Sting takes him around the world and gives him 2 chickens every day, and he gets Rowney to do. Now, I wasn't insulting Rowney in any way whatsoever. In fact, I was trying to big Rowney up in my way of thinking, because civilization, for me, is disaster. Civilization is what's causing global warming. Civilization is what is killing all the natural people in the world. Civilization is what kept beating me up when I was a child and put me in hospital 3 times. Civilization is destruction of peace and love. Now, is that or not true? Yes, you can't say no. You can't say no, because civilization invented guns and bombs and fighter planes and blow up all the jungle, kill all the animals. That's civilization. Civilization is the Queen of England, who goes to kill all the bears in Canada, which I did a photograph story about in 1960, to take the skin off them to make the black hats for the Queen's Guard. Civilization kills and destroys the planet. So when I said Rowney is not civilized, I didn't mean it in a cantankerous way, a demeaning way. I meant it in a bigging up way. To not be civilization. Civilized.
Well, see, look, I think
understanding and spiritual. You see, do you agree with that? I mean, you can't say.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Is, and no, I agree with you. But I think what happens is, you have so many dimensions and views, and experiences that the average, if you want to say, person of civilization doesn't quite have.
No, there are only a few people. Only a very few. I have sailed around the world many times, giving talk shows and contacting people who have never been contacted before by anybody, not even other tribes. But they've allowed me, because of my way of being and talking, and my tattoos as well, they help a great deal. I'm totally tattooed. I have over 70 tattoos on my body, even on my feet, hands everywhere. So my tattoos, like this one, that's my passport. To communicate with natural people. When they see this, and I don't go on with clothes. I'm totally naked when I go to the tribes. I've even got tattoos on my feet, fingers, everywhere. When they see my tattoos, they accept me more as a brother. But when an Englishman goes in, usually he's wearing his trousers and his big belt, and he's got his bag and he's got his jungle hat, and he looks like a civilizer that's come to kill them. He looks like a military man. So I have learned over my vast experience of traveling the world and contacting various isolated tribes, that the best way to do it is to be simple and be like them. Otherwise, there's camera. Otherwise, they'll steal your camera. You know,
Okay.
which they did once to me. They stole the lens and everything because I went wearing clothes and I looked just like another. Yeah.
Did you ever get it back?
Oh yeah, because I took all my clothes off and started to laugh. If I didn't do that, if I'd have taken the natural reaction of a normal civilized white man, like, give me my camera back. Where's the chief? This is disgusting. How dare you? You are a thief. They would have killed me. They would have killed me.
Yeah.
Of course they would.
Yeah.
But I simply just took all my clothes off and started laughing. Now, when you laugh, they laugh with you. And so what I learned from the people is this. The talking stick is the best way. And so I go in with the talking stick. Now, I've only learned this from being with natural people. Now, I've got a talking stick, but I'm not going to get for you now because it's in the drawer.
Right.
Imagine this is the talking stick.
Right.
So we all sit down in a circle.
Right.
Or if it's one person, he sits in front of me or beside me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the stick. Like you, Eric Roach, have the stick. You have it now.
Right.
You just give it to me.
Right.
And I pass the stick to you, and then you can talk as long as you want and about whatever you want.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Now, when you're finished talking, you pass the stick to the next person or back to me.
Right.
And then you can't talk anymore.
Okay.
It's me talking.
Right.
So we each give our opinion, our wisdom, our experience, without somebody saying you're a liar or trying to criticize you or creating an argument which could come to violence. Pull your gun out, shoot you, or stick a knife. So that's a very good tip for you, a talking stick.
Talking stick.
You can have great debates with people and you don't create argument.
Right. Well, you just, I mean, I think you have a high IQ. You're just a fascinating person. And I'll just tell with the audience, we might stop it right now, but I want to come back and because this is a great video. This is one pre-Kelly, the movie maker sensation, the movie maker sensation. And my thing with you, and I want the public to understand this, I want to continue interviewing you every month, and just get knowledge, just learn, and let the public and myself learn all the great experiences and things that you took in. You're a very exciting person. Is that okay?
Well, I didn't tell you about the money tree. Yes, and I didn't tell you yet about the money trees that I have planted around the world. Right. A tree that grows money. And when I get to Australia, I go to the island nearby and get the money tree fruit.
Right.
And with it, I make jewelry and I sell it on the streets and it goes fast. So I've got money tree plants around the world. I've also got marijuana plants around the world at the sides of the roads.
Well, let me ask you this. Are they starting to in where you are now? I saw something on TV yesterday, some black guys, and they're at the back end, of course. I mean, this, yeah. Before you
go, I've got to show you these.
Right.
Look. Yeah. Why we cannot leave the Indians.
Right.
Look, let me show you.
Right.
Just stay there.
Yeah.
These they are real jaguar teeth.
I believe that. Yeah.
That's probably worth about £3,000.
Wow.
These are special river shells, which are now in extinction.
Okay.
I've been told that's worth £5,000.
Okay.
This is the anter teeth.
Right.
That's worth a lot of money for a museum. See?
Right. Let me tell you what I was telling you.
These are jaguar claws. Look how pointed they are.
Yeah.
So you imagine the jaguar, these are bigger ones.
Right.
You wear around your neck like this.
Right.
And this one, you wrap around your fist.
Right. Right.
Look, I can rip your face wide open. I can rip your heart out. Look.
Yeah, I can see that.
These are weapons, and they're also necklaces.
Right.
And so the Amazon Indians, and these are the headdresses. That this is a nice one. Well, I've got this one here.
Okay, yeah.
The daily headdress, you just wear that all the time.
Right. That's interesting.
It's quite pretty.
Right.
Quite pretty.
I was going to tell you. Oh yeah.
This is.
Go ahead.
This is my when I turn into Mick Jagger, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Come on, Mickey. Well, yeah, man. What do you want?
Yeah.
Give me what I want. Give me what I want. That's what I want. So they,
I like that one. Yeah. I was going to
do it.
Yeah. I was going to tell you about, yeah. But I was going to tell you, yeah. I was going to tell you, yeah. But I was going to tell you about New Jersey.
What I'm trying to say is this.
Right.
That if you leave the Indians
right
the way they are, unfortunately,
right,
they will kill all the animals in the jungle, the feathers to make headdresses.
Right.
Because now the civilized people like JPD, Jean-Pierre Dutilleux, who was my film director,
yeah,
is buying these and paying lots of money to the Indians,
right,
and telling them to go out and get more of these necklaces, so they have to kill the animals that are almost in extinction.
Okay.
And they're depleting the Amazon of all the animals.
Okay.
Sell at auctions and shops in the USA. And one of the shops is called Oh My God. And they sell most of the products like tropical fish from the Amazon. They sell for £4,000 each fish that are being robbed from the Amazon River.
Right.
So we're depleting the rivers, the coastline, because we're using dynamite fishing, right?
Right.
We're poisoning the river with mercury to get the gold.
Right.
You have to have mercury to get the gold. You know, you have to separate the gold from the sand with mercury.
Right.
And we're shooting all the birds down.
Okay.
To make headdresses and to make necklaces to get the teeth and the fur to make the coats. So you see, the human being is in fact a cancer on Mother Earth's surface.
Okay.
In fact.
Right. Yeah.
I'm showing you. We're not special. We're not special. We cannot fly. We cannot navigate. Birds can do that, but they kill them every day. You know, we are wrong on Mother Earth with our ideals of making money. That destroys.
Okay. I understand your viewpoint. Let me just tell you about what I was trying to tell you about New Jersey. There's some black guys I saw on TV yesterday and I guess there's other organizations in the United States that are starting to have farms where they're legally going to make marijuana.
Yeah.
In the United States.
I've got a greenhouse here in England. And I'm just waiting for the legalization. I've got the seeds ready to plant.
Oh, so you're gonna plant marijuana?
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, it's pharmaceutical. It's good for your health.
Right.
I'm not. You know, you take the oil of cannabis, and you can even cure cancer.
Right. Yeah.
You know, it's the reason why it's been outlawed in the world is, you know, before Jesus Christ, it was big. You know, all the animals used to use it to cure themselves, and the insects would go because they knew the healing plant. And the healing plant was, in fact, cannabis resin, cannabis marijuana, cannabis sativa, because the healing plant gives off a medication to the insects and to the birds, the bears, the horses, And the ragwort plant, which is poison, then they go afterwards to cure themselves and eat the marijuana plant. Now, as you know, they sell cannabis oil in the top pharmaceutical stores, and they're farming it in America. Even the nuns have got a marijuana farm in America, in Colorado, the nuns from the church. And because it's a curing plant. Now, the reason it was outlawed by the government of America is because the same reason why they closed down the moonshine, so you couldn't make hooch. They closed it down and made it illegal. And they closed down the manufacture and the plants to make marijuana because they want to sell the whiskey. They want the profits. I mean, it's obvious. But the Americans, they don't know, you know, you taught at school, oh, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
But the coffee, a normal cup of coffee is more dangerous than 10 marijuana plants.
Wow.
The marijuana plants are good for your health.
Right.
And I've been advertising this now for over 50 years.
Right.
I've been advertising in newspapers to say, do not take cocaine.
Okay.
Do not take amphetamines.
Right.
Because amphetamines kill.
Right.
But smoke marijuana or make tea with it if you have a lung problem.
Right.
Because so I've planted marijuana all over the world. Wherever I go, I plant the seeds.
Right.
I will not be trodden down by a load of stupid nonsense that have made the money out of slavery, right? Because that's how most of these people who are in parliament have got rich, because the farmers who own slave traders. And they've made the money from slaves by stealing African people and putting them to work as children and then killing them. So I am a slave also. I'm an Irishman slave of the English. So I will not be put down with their stupid laws about the sacred herb that our creator gave to us.
So let me ask you this. So when do you think that they will legalize it in England?
Well, because England is very near to Scotland, and that's where the whiskey's made.
Okay.
So, and I believe that the Scotch government are quite strong. Okay. So it's got to be legalized in Scotland first. And now it's been legalized in New York, in several states. I do believe New Jersey is one of them.
Right, in Colorado.
Colorado. And it's spreading, you know, it's legalized in Norway, in Sweden, in Germany, you know.
In Canada, right? Canada, you can take drugs, right?
I lived and worked in Canada. It's a very good country. They understand. They're a very wise, a lot of students in Canada that have got an education in free thinking.
Right.
Whereas in England, the education is exactly contrary to free thinking. Okay. In England, they want to control you, make you into what they call a public schoolboy. So you put your hangman's noose around your neck, the hangman's noose of capitalism and conformity. Right. And you will then work the rest of your life to pay the mortgage off and become a slave of capitalism.
Okay. Well, I tell you,
finance those people who are rich already from slavery. Now, I sussed that out a long time ago. And I'm talking to you, hoping that you will put this in the film that you're filming now on YouTube, so that everybody can learn to be more thinking instead of brainwashed into drinking and football.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, let's stop the video here. I call it a cliffhanger, because next time I want to get into, and I'm sure you want to get into, talking all about filming the Indians and filming and just being this great film director that you have.
I do. I want to talk about the Indians. Amerindians means indigenous people. Right. That's what Indian means, indigenous.
Right. So we're going to talk about it next time, and we're going to talk about the filming, and we're going to talk about the winning the awards in Brazil, and the nomination in the United States with the Oscars. We're going to talk about all that great stuff. And I think you were filmed one, and the film was made about you by
it was supposed to be a Tarzan film, and I was Tarzan.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
Go on.
No,
go on.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I made the film, I produced the film, I financed the film, and I was assistant director, actor, the white man that became an Indian, and the photographer in the film.
Right.
So I took the cameras, the 35mm cameras, which I got from my friend David Helps from Helps Cinema in London, who supplies the camera for BBC and other filmmaking companies. And he showed me how to pull them apart and hide them in your body and around your body. And because we got permission from the Brazilian government, very hard to do. And we only got permission because we'd already made a film called Indians, a 90-minute documentary in 16mm in 1972. So they gave us permission to go back and make a quick film about the president going to the Amazon to see the Indians. We were allowed to film him sitting there with Chief Rowney painted totally black next to him,
right,
and then all the other chiefs all sitting in a line. So I was filming, but the cameras that I'd smuggled in, I hid in the tree. So whilst I was filming them with a 16mm and their security and military police were watching me, I was filming with a 35mm that they did not know about.
Wow.
And so that 35mm was to be the film about Clive Kelly, who was called Rain Cloud, right? Who was a street trader and a music promoter from London, who'd brought the head shop and the hippie image. Remember, I opened head shops in Brazil first. I sold posters and different types of smoking implements, necklaces and clothes to open the mind of the Brazilian people into being hippies.
Okay.
So then I had to go to the Amazon, be this hippie that had the long hair and the tattoos and the nose piercing and the ears piercing, and become an Amazon Indian. And Chief Rowney made a hole in my face here, and put a lip disc in the film.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a film that, so when I suggested to the people who were my friends at BBC, his name was Tony Isaacs and Tony Saunders, who were the directors and the producers of the first ecological television program called The World About Us, right? And that was on every Thursday. And this was a start way back in the beginning of the 60s to show ecology, to show nature, to show jungles and rivers. It was the very first, right? Before that, it was a different type of TV program. But they were not liked the same way that BBC have blocked me from talking now. As you know, we're going to get over that sooner or later, because I've now been nominated again to be knighted. It's some reporter says they've got already a few people to sign to make me knighted by the Queen. Well, they wanted to make this film about this Englishman who was a music promoter and had done so many things in London, and being the hippie king and all that, as I was, who went to the Amazon and then was captured by the Indians. So the scene opens with me landing in my plane. I take out my box, which has got my tools in it and my cameras. And then all the Indians, hundreds of Indians waiting for me, and you shot from the air, from the airplane, and they're all waiting with bow and arrows to capture me. So then I start to build a house out of wood and trees. So I cut down the trees, build a house, and I'm tying it together with long grass. You know, you weed the grass, the long grass, and it's strong, and you tie it, and I'm doing this, and then suddenly an arrow hits the floor in front of me, and the Indians start to attack me, because the film is to show that the Indians do not want invaders to go into their lands and build houses.
Okay.
So they then tried to kill me by beating me up, And there's one Indian there called Preparee.
Mhm.
Now, Preparee is an Indian who had gone in, he'd been put into prison by the military police because he was the only survivor of his tribe. They killed all the rest of the Kajabi Indians. And he was the chief of the Kajabi. And when they attacked the military to machine gun the whole tribe down, Preparee dived into the river and swam to the other side and escaped to the city, and where he found me, because I'm a hippie. I'm the only hippie at the beginning in Brazil. I was the first hippie. So he found his way to the hippie shop, wherever he was very so famous that all the people who wanted to go underground and listen to the Beatles music and the Rolling Stones music and, you know, that sort of thing would come to Freedom. Because in Freedom, I also had a coffee shop. I had a place to relax and smoke your doobies. I had a place where you could go and try clothes on and make films if you wanted. It was a center. It was called a head shop or a mini hippie market, okay? And so I owned that. So Preparee made his way to my shop because it was famous. And he made friends with me. And I put a tattoo on his arm. I tattooed him.
Right.
Right. And so he became so friendly with me that when Jean-Pierre Dutilleux had planned to kill me because he'd got a contract from Stern magazine to get 15,000 for each photograph, called blood photographs. Now, I was hiding in the toilet and I recorded this, the contract being drawn up between the chief editor of Stern magazine and Jean-Pierre Dutilleux to get blood photographs. So Jean-Pierre Dutilleux, he was my director of filming. So he had planned it with the Indians because he got there first. I flew in with the camera, the 35mm camera, and I sent him in advance in the van with the 16mm camera to start the filming. And I was coming in with the 35mm, right? So when I landed and I'm building the house, they take me prisoner, they beat me up. But Preparee in the photograph where they're beating me up with the clubs, and I'm lying in a canoe and being beaten, you can see in the photograph, Preparee puts his arm forward to stop the club that was meant to kill me.
Okay. Wow.
Preparee saved my life.
Wow. Hey, let's stop right there.
Well, then they put me in a canoe, tied up.
Wait. Let's the cliffhanger right there. Everybody has to find out next time what happened afterwards. Let's cliffhanger. No, but we don't understand why you're here right now, but they'll find out next time. How about that?
Because I'm the Messiah, the modern Messiah of nature, Mother Earth. Okay. Mother Earth is Her Majesty.
Right. So we're gonna leave them right there. You hold on. This was a fascinating show talking about him before becoming this big film award-winning maker, and you heard it, and you're left with this cliffhanger, and we will be back next time to tell the tale of what happened.
And I will change my costume.
There you go. So until next time, and you know this film is coming out, you know you're watching it, you were on American Authors and Others, and you saw the legendary Clive Kelly. And so you stay here.
Flip, flop, flipping around, flipping and flopping, falling off buildings when they drunk the rum because they thought they're drinking the blood of Christ, because the church builders gave them the wine and said, drink this and eat this little biscuit, which is the bones of Christ, and this little cup of red liquid is the blood of Christ, and he will be your savior. So these people drank the red liquid, and then the next time they were given red liquid mixed with strong rum, and they were made into alcoholics. So they would obey the padre.
Okay, so we will, he threw a cliff. That's a real cliffhanger, but we'll talk about it next time, and we'll see you next time. And you stick around. Okay, later.